Hi, I'm Cynthia for Artbeads.com, and I am actually one of the owners, but I'm also a jewelry designer. I've been designing jewelry for a while, and this is one of my passions. So I will love to show you how to make a very simple bracelet. This is the basic how to start doing some beading. And I know it can be overwhelming sometimes, but really we have some great tools and it is pretty easy. So let me show you how to do this. So we have two wonderful starter sets that you can use if you don't know what to buy. We've got the starter set that you can just grab and everything is inside, and then you can make a wonderful piece of jewelry. So let me show you this one first. This is a starter set for stringing, and we have our Artbeads designer jewelry wire, and this is a 0.19. So you will see numbers like that, and at the beginning you will think, which one do I use? Well, the 0.19 diameter is the most common one, and you can use that for your necklace, every single pieces when your beads are not too heavy. So this is a very common one. Then we have a clasp, and here in this set, you have a toggle. You have a gold one and a silver one that I'm going to use here. We have some crimp tube. So the crimp tube are those teeny tube that you're going to use to secure your jewelry wire to the clasp. And you have some crimp covers. I love the crimp covers because sometimes you don't want to see this crimp tube finishing your piece. You kind of want a bead on it. So the crimp cover will cover your crimp tube and make it like a bead. And it will look very finished, very professional. And we have them in gold and in for the crimp cover and for the crimp tube. And then, oh yes, we have the mat also that come in the starter set. And my favorite tool, I always say I cannot bead without those, the bead stoppers. The bead stoppers hold on your jewelry wire. So you just squeeze them, open them, and hold it. It holds your wire, it holds your beads. I love the bead stoppers. I bead all the time, and sometimes I have dinner to make, so I have to stop my jewelry. So a bead stopper is great because I won't lose my bead, and it can hold several strands of the wire. So this is great. I really recommend to have a bead stopper all the time. And then the other starter set that we have is the tool one, and this is a really great also. So we have 2 chain nose pliers, 1 round nose pliers, a cutter, and then this is the tool that you really need when you use crimp tube. It's called a crimping tool. So let me show you how to start making a bracelet, and I need my glasses first. And I'm going to make some space here. And I have, we're going to make this bracelet here. It is really pretty with some Swarovski pearl and some Swarovski round bead. I have a piece of wire that I cut, and you usually, what you want to do is add about 3 to 4 inches because you're going to fold your wire, so you're going to have to think about that length that you need for your clasp. And I like to add more than too little because I don't want to end up working with a teeny piece of wire. It's very frustrating, especially when you start making a piece of jewelry. So I'm thinking I want to make a bracelet that is about 7 inches long. So I added 4 inches. And don't forget your bead stopper. I usually don't start my bracelet with the clasp. I start to put my beads first on. So let's start putting the beads. So I did a pattern here. I started with the Swarovski bead. Swarovski pearl, sorry, and then a Swarovski bead, and then 3 pearls. And you can do any way you want. You know, I'm just showing you here one pattern that I thought about, but it's all your choice and how you want to design your bracelet. So here I have 3 pearls. Let's add another one, and then 1 round pearl bead, 1 pearl, 1 round, and then I keep going doing my pattern. So the reason that why I don't want to start with my clasp is because sometimes when you do a pattern like that, and then you arrive at the end and you realize, oh, this is too short, or it's too long, then you have to think about your pattern again. Maybe you need to take a bead out, so you want the other end to have the same finishing. And instead of, if you have a clasp here, instead of taking all your beads out, you can just take your bead stopper out and you don't have to redo all the thing again. So I just finished stringing all the beads that I needed, and I'm going to add the clasp now. Let's push that around. So you start by taking your crimp tube, you slide on your wire, and then one part of your clasp. So you put the thread through the loop of your clasp. This is the bar of the toggle clasp. And then I take my wire and I go back in the crimp tube, like that. And then I bring my crimp tube closer to the loop here. I don't want it too close. You don't want the crimp tube to be touching the loop because it causes friction. So I like to push it down a little, like that. Let's do a little more, like that. So this is my loop. Now I'm going to use my crimp tool. So this is the crimping tool, and as you can see on that tool, you have two stations. So we're going to use that station first, and that's going to make the crimp tube curve and kind of make two walls on the crimp tube. And then with the other station here, we're going to fold those two walls of the crimp tube together. So I'm going to show you what that means. So here is my bracelet, and I really want first to have the two pieces of wire being separated. You do not want your wire to be squeezed like that, because your crimp tube won't be very secure. You really want your wire to be spaced out. So let's make sure they're separated. Then I'm just placing the crimp tube in the first station that I told you. So just put it inside. Make sure that the wire I separated. Make sure that the crimp tube is well inside, and you give a good handshake. That's it. So let's look at it. So you can see here that you have two little walls, and your wire, both of the wire are in each wall. So now I'm going to want to bring those walls together, and I'm going to use the other station. So I'm going to go vertically this time, holding my tool vertically and placing my crimp tube inside. Make sure that the crimp tube is very straight inside the station. Make sure that you have all the tube inside, and give it a good handshake. And that's it. So now your tube is very well secure and very close. You just need to cut the wire, and let's add a crimp cover. Sometimes on my design I don't use a crimp cover, sometimes I do. It all depends of the design of my piece and how it looks like. You see here, I don't like that. You have a little pieces of wire that is sticking out, so I'm going to cut it closer. I always a little worried that it will catch on my clothes or it will catch on my skin, so it's not really fun. So now I'm taking my crimp cover, place it in between your fingers, and you just place the crimp tube inside the crimp cover. I know those crimp covers are very small, so it can be tricky to place in there, but there we go. I just placed the crimp tube inside. I'm taking my chain nose pliers, and I'm just gonna push on the crimp cover very slowly. You don't have to be too hard on it, just go very slowly and several times. And I like to make it round. And that's it. This is a nice crimp cover. Now I can slide the rest of my bracelet, and let's do the same on the other side. So the crimp tube first, then I add the other side of my clasp, and remember I'm going back inside the crimp tube, so you're making a loop. This time you have bead on the other side. So what I do is I bring my crimp tube down and I'm pulling on my wire. The other thing that I do all the time is to check that my beads are well stacked together. So what I do is I lift my bracelet. The reason is because when your bracelet is on the table, you don't see that your beads are a little loose on the wire. So you think that your crimp tube is very close to your bead, but I always check. I always bring my pieces up, and this is way too much space for me. I don't really like to see that. So what I do is I push with my nail on the crimp tube, and then this loop here is getting a little big for me. So I'm gonna pull again a little on my wire here. There, I like it this way. Okay, let's grab your crimping tool. So I place my crimp tube inside the first station. Make sure that everything is well secure inside, and a good handshake. Okay, now we're going to bring those two balls together. So now I'm taking my tool vertically, and I'm putting my crimp tube inside. Make sure it's straight, and a good handshake. There we go. So this is well secure here. You just need to cut your wire, and we're going to add the crimp cover now. So now let's add the crimp cover. Again, I place the crimp cover in between my fingers, and then I just put the crimp tube inside the crimp cover. Hold it with your finger, grab your chain nose pliers, and just push on the two ends very slowly. You don't have to rush, just go very slowly to make it looking like a bead and make it round. So I like to push a little on the end like that, and this is it. So you made your first bracelet. So now that you know how to make a simple bracelet, I have some little tips for you. Before I even put my clasp, I like to just take my bead stopper, and I just put around my wrist and see if I need more beads or not, if it's too small. Remember that you need some space for the clasp, so maybe you need another bead, maybe not. The other thing that I like to do is when I put my crimp tube, then I put my clasp, but I don't crimp yet. And I do the same on the other side. I put my crimp tube, my clasp, and I don't crimp. And it holds pretty well that you can put your bracelet around your arms and you can see if it fits or not. And then when I'm happy with the length of my bracelet, then I will crimp. Another tool that I really like when I make my bracelet is this cone. This cone tells you the size of the bracelet that you would like to make. You see here you have the inches. So what I like to do also, and I sometimes even before I finish, I just hook with my bead stopper and I just slide on the cone. And here you can see exactly where it goes. Like this one, for example, is 6.5 inches. So this is a very useful tool to have. Then let me show you what's happened with some spacers when you add spacers. So we made this bracelet and I did exactly the same pattern. There is nothing different. The thing that is different is I added the little spacers. I think it looks much better with the spacers. You add a little something. I really like the little silver shining in between the beads. But look how the length is different. Exactly the same pattern, but it's added at least an inch. So that's something also to consider when you add spacers. Stop once in a while check on your arm or check on your cone before you crimp and finish your bracelet. So I want to show you what can you do when you know how to string and make a simple bracelet. There is a lot you can do. There are so many beads out there, so many spacers, so many things that you can add, and it's really fun to start to make your own design because it's you, it's your personality. So let me show you some of my favorite that I made here. And I want to start with those beautiful Swarovski pearl and crystal, and you see here I add some spacers. So very simple pattern. It's just one pearl, one crystal, and some spacers in between. Again, there is a lot that you can do, and clasps are really fun also. We have a lot of different clasps, and every single clasp add another style on your jewelry, another je ne sais quoi, like we say in French. This one, so on this one, you see I have a different pattern. Don't think that you have to use always the same size of beads. No, you can mix and match, and it's really great too. So I have some big beads here and then some smaller ones. And you can see I added something in between those beads. Those are called bead cap. And the bead caps are really great too to dress up your beads. It's something that I recommend that also add a little something to your piece. Here is something simple. Again, I added some spacers. They're really, really small. You can barely see them, but they add this little silver that make your pieces pop. Here's some more Swarovski beads and some other way of doing some patterns. Here what I did is I mixed bead cap and spacers in the middle. Look at this toggle. Isn't that beautiful? I love using special toggle too. And the reason what I did on this bracelet is because I'm using gemstone and I wanted something that's in nature, earth. So the gemstone is it's about earth, right? And I wanted something that's in nature. So the clasp is really great for that. I really love that clasp. Then on your bracelet, you can do something that is more focal. And here in the middle, I added some beads that were completely different than those round beads. I really wanted those to be in the middle. So that's something you can think about when you do a pattern. Do I want a strand that is very simple, or do I want something in the middle that's pretty big and you want to show it off? Here again, another clasp that I love, and I use some really cute check glass beads with some gemstones. So really mix, you can mix your media, you can mix gemstone with glass. You see when I talk about the bead cap, so I said the bead cap dress the bead, and in this bracelet I use 3 little rondelles, and then I use bead caps at the end. So you don't have to use your bead caps only with the beads, you can use them also with several beads in between. Does that make sense? One thing that I really like with my bracelet is adding charms. And charms are very, very easy to add. You just need to use a jump ring. And so you string your beads, add a jump ring with your charm, and then you keep stringing your beads. There are so many charms out there, and charm is really about you. It's really about your personality, and this is why I love using charm. And what about using tassels? Tassels are very trendy. They are so cute. We've got different colors of tassels, and here I put tassels with a little heart also. I think this is really, really cute. This one has a theme. Like I did on the other one, I did like a nature theme. On this one, I wanted to do something Celtic. So I used some green and some crystal. And this is something that you can think about if you don't know where to start. Well, think about a theme. Do you want something that talk about your hobby? I mean, do you like yoga? So maybe make a bracelet with some yoga charm. Or here, if you like anything Irish, what about a Celtic bracelet? I think this is really fun too. One of my favorites, I love working with garnet, and I love when the beads are not round, are not rondelle, they have all kind of shape. I think this is really fun also to play with. And I added some little dangle too. And this is something very easy, it's just with a jump ring. on both on the charm and on the little gemstone here. And again, think about your clasp. Clasps are very beautiful, and they come in different sizes, different, they can be round, they can be like a leaf, they can be a heart, and this make your whole piece really well finished and has a really well tied up together. So I've been showing you just bracelet, but once you're comfortable, it's really easy to make a necklace. Like this necklace that I have on me, this is just a simple stringing and the same technique with the crimp tube and the crimp cover. So there is no limit on what you can do. and I hope this is inspire you to make your own jewelry. It's really fun and it's really something personal, and maybe you will have the passion like I have. So thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.